Two, check mic one, check mic one, check, 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 two. Test one, check, one, check, test, test, check, one, three, three, check mic one, two, three, test two, two, one, two, three. Check one, two, check, check mic one, two, three. Stay close to the table. Check mic one, two, check mic one, two. Testing one, two, one, three, two, one, three, one, two. talking. Checking 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check mic 1, 2. BUC ballroom. Are set to negative infinity gain. Zoom is not working. Mic 4 has a hum, but it can hear it on the pressure on. Echo cancel the phone. It doesn't output. None of the other mics output to a repeater. The auto zoom. Da, da, da. Keep on talking. One, two. Check mic 1, 2. Check mic 1, 3. Check mic 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Mic 1, 1, 3. 1, 3. Check 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. Check mic 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. Checking 1, 2. Checking mic 1. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. Check 1, 2. 1. Mic 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. Keep on talking. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Good? Thanks. Check, check. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm testing right now. But, you know. Oh, that's great. Yeah. He's in food now. Yeah, he's good. He's 4 months now. He's falling asleep, right? But he, like, I go, hey, you fall asleep? And then he go, no. And start jumping up and again. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. You get the link I sent you?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah. Check 1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. How's that with this? That's yours.
Yeah,
One, right?
is
it 2 years ago?
Yeah, I guess one was
2 years ago?
No, wait, hold on, no, yeah, yep, 2020. Seems like so much longer than that.
It feels like it was last year. COVID feels like one long year.
It does, it does.
Because I was talking to my wife about it. Because this is we finally got to watch the movie she was in.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Yeah, we finally watched that movie. Yeah. Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I didn't get to watch it all at once. So I didn't. I have to watch it in like portions. I need to see if I can get like an actual 2 hours and just watch it all at once. A lot of like pause, change the diaper, pause, change the diaper. Stop talking. He's like, I don't want to hear about these diapers. Chris is like, I'm done with that now. I don't have kids that age anymore. Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Is it sounding okay? One, two. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4, 5. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check mic 1. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check mic 1. Mic 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, 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 check. Mic 1. 1, 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 1,002, 1,003, 4, 4,005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anything else? You think you're okay? Yeah.
Hello. Hi. Hi, how are you doing? Good. All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of the Pacific. And this is our annual Black History Month celebration. My name is Tanaya Smith, and I am a senior here at Pacific, majoring in political science and minoring in public affairs. And I am also a member of Pacific's award-winning forensics team. So the Black History Month Planning Committee is very pleased to have you here in person to enjoy our final night of programming. And also we would like to acknowledge our supporters, which includes the Pacific Arts and Lectures Committee, Pacific Technology, Office of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion, Pacific Alumni Association, and Zeus Collegiate. As a reminder, please note that photography and videography are strictly prohibited by our general audience members. And only one person from our team has been authorized to video this event and will also be prior for media clearance and to take photos. So to open up our program, I would like to invite Pacific student Kaylin Norwood to the stage to sing the Black National Anthem. So please stand.
Hello. I'm going to take this off to sing. Promise I'm COVID free. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you so much, and happy Black History Month.
I think that deserves another round of applause. So next, I would like to introduce the moderator for tonight's conversation. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, Nikisha, Nikisha Henry moved to California with her mother at the age of 12. As a child, she knew that performing arts was her true passion and began performing in numerous stage plays and musicals. Since then, Nikisha has appeared in numerous film projects and countless commercials and national print ads. She is also a devoted wife and mother and advocates for students with learning disabilities, ages elementary through high school. Nikisha truly believes that to whom much is given, much is required. So it is no wonder that her witty personality captivates all audiences from TV to stages and everything in between. All she needs is one mic. Everyone, please let's warmly welcome to the stage Nikisha Henry.
Thank you so much, Tanaya, for that warm welcome. How's everybody doing tonight? You guys okay? Okay, listen, we're going to have an amazing conversation. I know you guys are so excited. Who's excited to see Christina Elmore? Yes. I know we are. But you know what? We are going to have fun. Is that okay? Can we have a little fun tonight? This is Black History Month, right? Now, I know they only give us 28 days, but that's okay. We're going to act like we have 31. Is that all right? Because Black history is every day. It is every single day. So it is my pleasure to host this conversation with our very special guest tonight. She is a film, television, and theater performer living and working in Los Angeles with an undergraduate degree from Harvard University and an MFA in acting from American Conservatory Theater. She has performed roles across all genres. Many of you have seen them, I'm sure. Christina has appeared in Ryan Coogler's Fruitvale Station, Lady Bouncer, and the CBS pilot Under the Bridge, and also 5 seasons as a series regular on TNT's hit series The Last Ship. She recently wrapped her recurring role as Condola on on HBO's Insecure, and now she stars as Marie in Lena Waithe's newest scripted series, 20s, on BET. Stockton, you guys, please, if you can, please stand to your feet. Give a warm welcome for our amazing guest of honor tonight, the phenomenal Christina Elmore. Something tells me you got the VIP family section right here in the front row.
I feel like half of everybody in here is like my family. And I'm here for it, so thank you for coming. Hey, guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tonight we're just going to have a candid conversation. And first of all, how many of you guys have traveled? We want to know who came the furthest. Are you guys, anybody from outside of the state?
Chicago.
Oh, my hometown, Chi-Town is in the house. Okay.
That's a lie.
Via Sacramento.
That's a lie.
It counts. Anybody else?
Yes.
Sacramento. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is just kind of have a candid conversation, and then we're going to open it up for question and answer. So you guys get those questions ready, get them brewing as we're going along. Okay. Is that all right? Okay. So Christina, first of all, how are you?
I'm great.
Besides gorgeous, how are you?
I'm doing great.
You look
I'm so
great.
happy
Can
to
y'all
be
believe
here.
she just had a baby?
I mean, just
No.
as a stretch. He's a year old now.
But still,
That's a
a
stretch.
year. I mean, mine is 20, and I'm still like.
Oh, no. There's still things happening here, but
Well, you wearing it well, girl. You
Thank
are wearing
you.
it well. Okay, so let's kind of take a trip down memory lane.
Oh.
Okay, so your journey into acting. First of all, let me just start off by saying we have one of your former theater arts teachers in the audience from Franklin High School, Miss Lisa Sandoval. Can you stand?
Please
Where's
stand.
Lisa? There
Oh
she
my
is. You guys, let's give Lisa Sandoval.
I
Because-
was
yes.
shocked to see her. I didn't know that she was here. I didn't know she was coming, and then we were wearing masks. And they were like, oh, so Tommy and Lisa Sandoval are here. And you know you don't know your teacher's first names.
Right.
But then I was like, Miss Sandoval! I can go home now. My day is complete. My year is complete. I'm so honored to see you and so grateful that you're here. Thank you.
That's so amazing. So obviously she has contributed,
Yes.
towards your
Immensely.
success in that. So she recalls you playing Emily Webb in the high school production of Our Town.
I recall as well.
Can you share a little bit about what you learned in those early years by being in her class?
Sure. I think that when I first got to Sacramento, I'd lived in LA and then San Diego briefly, and I knew that, growing up you do a lot of things, and I did violin, and I did softball for a year, and I did random stuff, and I did ballet, and I quit them all. But the thing that I really loved and didn't want to quit was acting and doing plays. And so I'd done a few in middle school, and I was like getting started in my 9th grade year at school in San Diego. And so when we moved, I was like, I'm not going to be able to join the drama club. I don't have any friends. How am I going to do the plays? And then I was in Miss Sandoval's class. And I think that you were my first period maybe. And I think so. It was literally my first class of the first day of school. And I felt so welcomed. I felt so at home. I felt free to make choices and to play silly games and to let that be the sort of the icebreaker, not just to my theater work in high school, but like my whole high school experience in Sacramento. Yeah. So she really set the tone for me feeling free to be me, and then also free to explore this side of me that I was so interested in this performing. And we did all kinds of plays, and I don't know how so we did Our Town, but we also did Les Mis, and we had like real like not real, but we had prop rifles and sets that moved and things. I don't know how you worked a budget or.
Well, I will say
like
Franklin High School did have a great.
Come on,
they did have a great budget for those things.
I mean, but like 40 kids in a play together, and somehow it was good. I mean, I thought it was good. I thought we were good. But I felt so inspired to do this thing that a lot of people call silly, and do this thing that a lot of people don't take seriously. Yes. And Miss Sandoval takes it seriously. I was able to take it seriously. And I also knew that I could take risks in there, and it was the best.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Sandoval, for being a part of the intricate part of her early journey.
Thank you so much.
Now, how old were you? We hear a lot of singers and actors and people in the entertainment industry say, "Oh, I knew when I was 1 that I wanted to be an actor." And how old were you? Do you recall when you realized, I think I want to do this. Like, I'm made for this.
I don't know how old I was when I realized I wanted to do it as a job, but I do think it was really early on that I knew I wanted to do it for my life, whether that I was getting paid for it or not. That I think you can't grow up in Black church and not experience theatricality.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Whether you're on a stage and performing in a theater like this, or you're in a church, I think that sort of that feeling and that energy that comes from whether it's a worship service or a stage, there's an energy and electricity that I can't get enough, and that I still enjoy as a part of my worship and a part of my Christian walk, but also I just love that feeling in my life. And so I think when I realized you could get that same feeling and have that sort of electricity and also get paid for it, I was like, well, there we go.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. I think maybe like 14, 15 is when I was like, oh, there are people who do this as their job. And like I started doing classes and joined like the young company at Sacramento Theater Company. Mm-hmm. And I met like all of these regional theater actors who go from town to town. And it's different now, but 20 years ago, go from town to town and do this work and get to inhabit new worlds every other month, if they're lucky, and they're not rich. They maybe have health insurance, they maybe don't, but that life, I thought, I could do that. I don't need a lot of money. I would love to do that. And so my journey has taken me, I still do some theater, but I also do more TV and stuff now, but I think that is what I'm always longing for, is to have that sort of working actor journeyman career.
Absolutely, and we love watching you, so it's amazing.
Thank you.
So there was once upon a time in Hollywood where a lot of our stories, a lot of the Black stories weren't being told, and if they were being told, they were not being told by us.
Yeah.
So recently, we've seen Black storytellers get more opportunities, hence Lena Waithe and Issa Rae and others in the industry. They're able to share their work on major networks. Can you share with us what you think the key takeaways from watching the work of Black storytellers are in seeing the world through their lens?
I guess I can only speak from my experience, and I will say that there is a distinct difference, at least for me, so I'm an actor. My job is to show up and to put these words that someone else wrote into my mouth and onto my body and do the best I can with that. But there is a distinct difference between playing a character that was written by and specifically for a Black person to portray than playing someone who could be anyone and was written by anyone, and those are fine, and I've done that. I did that for years on a show, and it was great, and I'm blessed, and it was fantastic. And then I got to work on things where, oh no, this was written to be in my Black body.
Yes.
And to have this Black experience. And that is a very specific thing that I will not ever take for granted again. There's an authenticity that comes from it, and it jumps off the page as I'm reading the script, and I hope that it jumps off the screen. I hope that when we watch it, we see sort of the specificity in it. And especially getting to play ordinary Black women. Like, we don't always have to be historical. We don't always have to be magical or great or enslaved. But to play today, a woman
every day,
on a Wednesday,
yes.
because we've seen that so much in all kinds of white stories, and we deserve to be ordinary and regular, and that to be accessible and interesting.
I 1,000% agree with that. I think it's very important because who can we identify with? I can't identify with a fairy or necessarily a slave in today's time.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm grateful for those stories too.
Absolutely.
But we deserve the regulars.
We do. And you are doing it, girl. You're doing it.
Just being so regular.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your family role. You're a wife, a mother. Does that ever influence what roles you decide to take or pass up on?
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it does in the way that people might think. It doesn't. I am a working actor who auditions for my work, so I'm still. I hope one day I'm offer only. Wouldn't that be lovely? But right now, I wake up, I put things on tape, I audition. And so there's a lot of things that come my way to audition for that I pass on, not because, there are things that just morally or just at my sensibility I don't respond to. Sure. That's that. But for my family life, I'm so grateful that I have a full-time job, and that is being a wife and a mom. Like, that's my number one full-time job. I got these kids, and they have to eat, and they have to learn, and they have to grow, and all these things. And so then my acting work gets to complement my life as opposed to being my life. And I think I've been very intentional from the start of leaving grad school and like moving back to LA and saying that I want this work that I do to be one part of a full life. And so I unlike most of my friends, decided to get married when I was, in LA terms, young, not in anybody else's state. It was not young, but or have kids young, not young, but at a time where it wasn't necessarily right for my career, and it wasn't necessarily right for like the trajectory I wanted to be on for work. But it was the time I felt was right for my life, and so I try to keep choosing roles or just the next step in my career based on how it fits into my beautiful full life already. So sometimes I pass on things because I can't spend 3 months in North Carolina because my child is now starting kindergarten, or it doesn't pay enough to bring my family with me, so it doesn't make sense for us. And so yeah, it informs all of my choices because I think I've made my real life my number one priority, and this one, as much as it fits in, great, and if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. So speaking of family roles and family values, we know and love your dad. If you guys don't know, the great Pastor Ron Elmore and her beautiful mom, they are still currently living in South Africa, but you grew up with church roots. And so yeah. I had the pleasure and opportunity to interview you before, and I have to bring this up again because I love it. You guys, if you follow Christina on Instagram, part of her bio, it says, "I love Jesus, I get paid to pretend." Right? So have you gotten flack from the saints, for maybe some of the roles that you have taken on, or anybody who, casted some type of judgment?
Oh, I'm sure I have. I just don't know about it. I'm really good
at that's good.
Yeah. I think that I'm really good at just sort of insulating myself from internet chatter, but in my real life with like family and friends, people who are here, I think that I haven't, and I'm surprised that I haven't, but I just haven't. I also think if you are watching the thing, you are as involved and invested in it as I am. Do you know what I mean? So like,
Let the church say,
if it is
amen.
so like, if it is a thing that you think is not appropriate for you to watch or consume, fine, that's great. Don't. And when it's a thing that I think is not appropriate for me to watch or consume or be a part of, then I don't. We live in a world that is full of all sorts of things, all sorts of wonderful, amazing things, all sorts of things that aren't so great. And I'm not interested in art that is that washes away all the things that are also not so great. I think it to be a reflection back to us of what is. I choose the ways I want to invest myself in that. So I happen to be okay with keeping my clothes on, but it's okay to not, because that's also a part of the world we live in. And you have to decide for yourself what's good for your spirit, what edifies you, what triggers you, what doesn't work for you. And in the same way that you do as you consume things, I do as I decide to be involved in them as an actor.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You have to choose. And a lot of times people are making choices for us. And it's like, you know what? You stay in your lane.
It's just
and I'll
so
stay in
interesting
mine,
to
and
me,
we'll be all right.
though, like, people will watch and consume all sorts of content and then have very much different standards for what they think I should be in as an actor. But how would you watch it if somebody wasn't making it? It's just confusing. I don't know. But I do think that for every person, the content you consume is your personal choice, and then the same goes for every actor. And there's no one way to be a Christian and an actor at the same time, and there's no one way to be a Christian and a consumer at the same time. We all do it how we do it.
Absolutely. Wonderfully said. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, as you know, I keep dropping my notes, as you guys can see. As you know, the University of the Pacific is similar to Harvard in that it is a private school and that historically it has had few black people on campus as students. How did you navigate that space when you were a student at Harvard, and what specific challenges, if any, did you face?
Yeah, I was talking earlier at dinner with a few folks about at the time that I was there, Harvard had about 9 or 10% of the student body was black, which for Harvard was really high. Like, that happened to come at a high year where it was, I can't believe it's 10%, oh my gosh. But I will say, we were small, but we were mighty. I mean, there was the Black Student Union, there was Association of Black Harvard Women, there was Black Men's Forums, there's African Student Unions, then there was specific countries from Africa and other places with Caribbean, other places with black folks, who had all sorts of affinity groups. And so I think I immersed myself as much as I could in those kinds of groups, and then I also allowed myself to be awed by the diversity of it all, and that there were so many other people and other cultures that I had not experienced. So I'd been around a lot of white people and around a lot of specifically LA white culture, or specifically Sacramento. But what a diversity of all kind of people that I was experiencing at Harvard that I would not have. So yeah, there were challenges in that, you know, it was harder, especially when it comes to theater, because it wasn't a major at the time when I was there. There were a lot of plays and a lot of classes to take, but because it wasn't a department or a major, it made it so that there was sort of a limited amount of roles. And so when you weren't auditioning for the 2 black plays a year, you were like,
you
were out of luck. You were like, will I be in anything? So that was difficult to navigate. And I just did a lot of the black plays, and then sometimes I did the ones that were all mixed in together, and I prayed for the best. But I will say it was not, I still to this day, and this like hurts my heart, I have not played on stage a character that is specifically black. I've done monologues, I've done, workshops, I've done in class scenes, but I have not been cast in a play to play a character that is specifically black.
Which means
is
the
wild.
content doesn't exist.
It
in that
exists.
arena. Well,
the content
right.
exists. We have to decide to produce it. We have to decide to produce enough of it so that there's enough for all of us. And I think it's happening. Certainly, it's happening right now. I will say, when in my schooling and in grad school and college, I sometimes look back. I went to 3 years of theater school where we did 5, 6 plays a year. And yet, how is none of them that we decided to do? There's just a plethora of plays that we could have done by all kinds of writers, but you would also then have to have enough black students to fill that out. You'd also have to have enough black teachers. You'd also have to have enough black directors that you hire, and here we are.
Yeah, very, very good point. That's a very good point. So we talked a little bit about auditions earlier.
Yeah.
And the very nature of auditions obviously require actors to just put themselves out there, let it go. Let it make choices and just let it go at the end of it all. And so, you have to be vulnerable. And so you've been casted in awesome projects to play some amazing characters. Can you talk about how you developed resilience for the times that you don't get selected for, maybe an audition, you're like, oh my God, I know I killed that. They gonna book me because I did that. How do you deal with the rejection?
It's a journey. It's a process. So when I first got out of school, I knew that it wasn't just about talent and skill and type. But that you think you know something, and then you really start to get to know something when you have auditioned for hundreds of things and nothing's happening. Right. But I think in those early years, I started to realize, it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. That it truly has zero to do with you. Your talent will get you in the door, hopefully, and and you want to be as prepared as possible, but you cannot book yourself. Right. And that is, so once I realized that that's not my job is not to get the job. My job is just to book the room. That's what I tell myself. Yes. I try to go in and do the best that I can, the most prepared with the time, energy, space that I had, and that changes. And do what I can, and then hopefully you make a fan in the room. The casting director says, you're not right for this, but I'll remember you the next time. Yeah. But once I realized that it's just not my job to book it, I no longer am failing at my job because that's not my job. Mm-hmm. My job is to prepare and do the best I can. I also think it goes back to what I talked about before, in that I just make my life good. My life outside of this is good. So in the years where I still had a survival side hustle, I made it one that I liked, and I made it so that the hours worked for my own life, not necessarily just for auditions, but for me to do the things I want in my life. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy my time with my friends, and I enjoy my time with my family, and I enjoy my time with God, and that way, this is just a part of it. Yes. And when I get it, great, and I often don't get it, but literally no one's getting it. Yeah. It's fine.
No, I can attest to that. Yeah. So, and I think, a lot of people, they don't really realize or respect. I always say, have mercy, have grace on actors, because you really don't even know the process. It's a big deal just to get the audition.
Yeah, that's
if you're not an A-lister, it is a huge deal just to get the audition, because whether you self-submit or your agent submit to you, there's thousands of submissions, and then they pick you to audition. So that's the first step.
Yeah.
But there's 5 steps. You get the audition, and then if they like you, you get the call back, right? And then if they...
And they also have to, now especially, everything's on tape.
Yes.
You hope that they watch your audition.
Right. All the way through.
You have no idea if they're going to watch it. And if they do watch it, are they going to watch more than 30 seconds?
Right.
Who knows?
Right. And after the callback, you may get a producer pin, put on a veil, put on hold, and in the meanwhile, your agent is letting you know all of this, so your hopes just keep getting higher and higher after each level, and then finally, you don't hear anything
and then
back.
They pick somebody else.
Right. And then the worst part sometimes is you see who they picked, and you're like, say what?
Or I've had it so where I booked it, where there was a thing I auditioned for. I went to the callback. I went to the producer session. Then I got a call saying, they want you. I was like, great. But you got you got studio approval. You need network approval.
Oh my God.
And so I had a fitting plan. It was Tuesday at 3. It was supposed to be the fitting. On Monday at 5, I got a call that was like, oh no, the network went with somebody else. They went with a man, a whole different person. Like, it was a whole
So a
different
man, a totally different.
But that's
Make
the
it
thing.
make sense.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't make sense, and it's not your job. So like, oh well.
Yeah, I think it's a great mindset to have, and not only just for this industry, but with anything. Like you said, it's not your job to worry about booking. You can't book
You
yourself.
can't do it.
Can't
You
do it.
don't get to pick you,
Yeah.
and so you just do what you can. And I
Yeah.
also think about like the time people spend preparing for these things. I think that should go hand in hand with your investment in it, but also hand in hand with what time you have to give to the other things in your life. So there are times when I get the script days ahead, and I have time to read and relate and think about it and dream about it and journal about. And then there are times where you get it the night before and you don't have any time. You put it on tape and you do what you can. And it wasn't great, but that's okay because you did the best you can with what you had.
Yeah.
And you got to let that go. You can't stay up all night. You can't. If they're not going to give you the job and they're not paying you for the audition, girl, just do your best and move on.
Yes. Oh my gosh, she's dropping nuggets, y'all. She's dropping nuggets. I totally relate. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we have several aspiring actors and storytellers among the students here at UOP. So what are a few key things that you've learned about the entertainment industry that you would love to share with them?
I would say, and I've heard this from lots of folks, but Issa Rae talks about it a lot, that your real networking is peer-to-peer. That when when I moved back to LA, I thought I needed to go to everything I was ever invited to or heard about because, you have to network. And I am a person who is an outgoing introvert. So no one knows. I can chat and chat and chat, and then I fall apart at home. I'm like, oh God, that was way too much. And so I hate going. I hate small chat. I hate meeting people at a party. I hate all that. But I was going and doing all those things because I thought that's how you get a job. And that's how you're going to make connections, and you're going to meet a producer or a casting director or a director. And that is just not true. That's not how, even when you meet that producer, you meet that casting director, what are you going to do? You don't know them. What are you going to talk about? You say hi, you say who your name is, but they're not going to call you tomorrow because they met you at their party. But what will happen, and what I learned in the first few years, is that you make as many friends as you can who are doing things that you want to do. So a lot of my friends are actors, but a lot of my friends are also writers, and we were all aspiring. And so then as we all start to move up, we move together and we call each other. And if I was going to make a short today, I know who I would call to direct. I know who I would call to do sound. I know who I call to do lights. I know who I would call as other actors. And then if that short turned into something and then it became a series, I would call those people. So we all sort of move together. And so you network this way as opposed to this way. And I think realizing that, I can just make good friends and invest my time into the people I know and love and make art with them, that took the pressure off. Like such a burden was lifted because now I'm doing it because I love you and I want to hang out with you and we can do cool stuff and make stuff. And then one day that turns into, that's how I got 20s. I knew Lena as a friend because I'd heard about 20s for like years and years. And while she had table reads and while she was trying to get it together and get it all packaged, and then she moves up and we all move up and then we move, it just takes the pressure off. And so make fun stuff that you like with your friends even when no one's paying you to do it. Read plays, read scripts if you're interested in that, and do the art that you love on your own, and then have a job that pays your bills. And then one day, hopefully, the other job takes over that one, and you don't have to have the job that pays your bills anymore.
Moving up together. I love that. So everybody look at the person sitting next to you and say, show yourself friendly. That's all you got to do. Show yourself friendly. So we have a little bit of time. I do want to talk about your experience on Insecure. First of all, I love that show.
Me too.
Love Condola, your character on that show.
Thanks.
And Issa just wrapped 5 seasons. So what was maybe hard to choose one, but what was one of your favorite moments on the show? Whether it be something that we saw or something behind the scenes, what was one of your favorite moments?
I think, so this year, or this past season, playing Condola was really particularly special for me because she had just had a baby and I had just had a baby. And so I literally got to work 6 weeks after my second son was born. And I was tired, and we had 4 a.m. calls, and I'd been up all night with the baby, and my eyes were bloodshot, and I had bags under my eyes, and I still looked pregnant, and all kinds of things. But I'd never played someone who was so closely sort of parallel to my life, and it was so great because so many of, at least especially in episode 3, which is mainly Condola and Lawrence and the baby situation, the director of that was Ava Brokowski, and she was expecting a baby. And the writer was Jason Liu, and he had an 8-month-old. And Jay had a 1-year-old, and I had the 5-year-old and the baby. And so there were so many parents, and it was so collaborative in the way that we talked about what was happening on screen and how it related to our personal lives and our lives with our kids. And it felt just like therapy, and I also just felt free to look pregnant and to be tired, and it was great. It was
free to be you,
free to
right?
be me in that moment, and then also to be grateful for the life that I had that wasn't Condola's, because she was having a lot harder time than I was, but. I don't think I ever worked on something that felt so personal to me at the time, and to do with other folks where it felt personal for them too. It was really special.
Yeah, and you guys, the entire cast, even though you didn't start off in season 1, you guys the chemistry was so amazing between each and every cast member. So did you guys watch Insecure? Make some noise if you watched Insecure. Okay. So I just have to share my favorite moment, episode with you. It was this last season because you had the baby. When Issa had one of her many daydreams that she always had, and she ran into you guys at the hospital, and she had the baby, and then she threw the baby and she said, "F this baby," and threw. Yes. Like, oh my God.
That was wild.
Right. So, how was that behind the scenes? Was it hard to get through? Because even though it had some dramatic effects, it was comedy.
Yes.
So how was that getting through some of those scenes?
It was really fun. It was actually my first day back on set after the baby. So they were like, oh, so we're going to throw a baby, you're going to land in a trash can, then later on in the episode you're going to kick someone. I was like, oh my God, I can't even walk. How can I do any of these things? But it was super fun. So half of that sequence was directed by Kerry Washington, and the other half of that sequence, because it sort of split an episode, was directed by Natasha Rothwell, who plays Kelly and is part of the cast. And so it was super, super fun to hang out with friends and do this crazy thing. Because that's the one thing I really loved about Insecure, is that it's a comedy, but it has a lot of dramatic elements. And then it has sometimes hyper comedic elements, like that one. So it just breaks it up in a way that is just super, super fun. But it took a long time. Those sequences, I think, were like 1 minute each, and it took days. Right. Like we had a stunt person who had to get the kick and then fall in the trash, and then another one and then like 7 babies, and like real babies and doll babies, and it was just a lot. But it was really fun.
Wow, yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite moments. So we're going to get to the Q&As. Just one last question. So 20s. Yeah. How many of you watch 20s? I know my sister's here. She loves that show. Hey. 20s is an amazing show. Lena Waithe is amazing. Everything she does. The Shy. I mean, I love all of her work. So what is it like? I know you said you guys were friends before. Mm-hmm. What is that like when you've moved up with your friend in the entertainment world as far as work goes, but at the end of the day, work is work. So how do you make that separation and separate the friendship from the business side as far as getting things done while the cameras are rolling?
I would say we are friends and have known each other for a while, but we weren't like best friends. So like it would be different if I was working with my very best friend, and that might be harder to sort of separate. But I think that what's been nice about sort of talked about moving up with your friends is that yes, you are good friends, but you also came with a job to do, and you respect their work and the hustle that it's taken to get here because you've seen it. So you come in with professionalism. At least I chose that, and she's chosen that, and we've all chosen that. So I don't think that was a hard boundary to cross or to maintain. It's just been nice to see her win in so many ways, and then to see how generous she's been with sharing those wins with other Black performers and creators, and like her mentorship programs, and her all the work she does with Hillman Grad, her production company, and the ways that she nurtures young Black and queer artists of all kinds. It's been really inspiring to see. Yeah. And yeah, it's been easy to respect her as a boss because she is.
Right. She is the boss. She's in charge. And if there were one actor that you say to yourself, before I leave this earth, I have to work with this actor or actress, who
Just
would that
one?
be? I know, it's so hard. Maybe
list-
one male, one female. One male,
My
one
list
female.
is so long that it's like, who's not on the list? I will say Felicia Rashad. As an actor, as a director, as a person, though, just her very being is something that I aspire to. And so to play a character that was named after her daughter has been really meaningful. And then also one time I auditioned for a play that she was directing. And I was newly out of grad school, and I thought I did a good job. And she said I did a good job, and I was like, oh, okay. But then she didn't give it to me. That's fine. But a few months later, I did a workshop of a play that I thought just organically came through my agent. And then we did the workshop at South Coast Rep, and then a few months later, we did another workshop at a theater in Vermont, and I was like, oh, great, this is turning into things. And then months after that, we did the full production at South Coast Rep, and it was great, and I was so excited about it, and it was wonderful. And then it wasn't until the end of that production that the writer, Adam Rapp, said to me, oh, you know how I found out about you? And I was like, my agent. He was like, no, Felicia Rashad. Wow. That after I auditioned for her, I think he presented an award to her and was talking to her about this play that he was doing, and he was like, she said, I know a girl who could do it. And she, unbeknownst to me, told him my name. Wow. And so I just feel like I want to work with her so I can say thank you for that. Right. And then also because, she's an amazing actor, amazing director, just amazing creative, but she also seems like the most amazing person, so.
Yeah. She has so much depth to her.
And
it's like
presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's a dream.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we are going to open it up for question and answers from the audience. Who would like to go first? You guys can just raise your hand or you can stand. Yes, right over here. What's your question?
Hi, I want to thank you first off for coming and being here.
Thanks for having me.
For all of us. I have a question from a friend who's also in film and directing.
Oh, cool.
I wanted to know, how did you like Prentice Penny as a showrunner?
Oh, I loved Prentice Penny as a showrunner. Prentice Penny is the showrunner, or was the showrunner of Insecure, and Issa and Prentice hand in hand in writing so many of the episodes and leading that room. And Prentice is fantastic. He's a wonderful guy. He runs a tight ship, but with love and comedy and grace. And he's a father and a husband, and he values his personal real life too in a way that I thought made being on that set more bearable for all of us. So yeah, he's great, fantastic.
Thank you. And then my question is, knowing that your last big projects are dealing with Black women in power in film and video, and we haven't seen that in the production, directing, film, creating, writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really taking a new, I feel like catapulting into something wonderful. And I just wanted to know, how is that working with that versus working in non-Black, female, African American women who are doing these things in the industry?
Yeah, it's been a big difference in terms of the ways that I felt heard and the ways that I think other people involved in the production felt heard. So I found that 20s and Insecure both to be very collaborative and much more collaborative than I experienced on the previous show I worked on. And I don't know that is specifically because it's, the tone is being set by these powerhouse Black women, but I can't imagine that it wasn't a part of it. The first show I did out of school was a blessing in so many ways, and I learned how to do TV, and I learned what it meant to be on a set, and learned life as an actor. But what I didn't ever see was a Black woman ever. So there were no I can remember one black female crew member. There were no black female writers. There were no black female directors. And so then to leave that world and to sort of go into these magical wonderlands of blackness and femininity, I never want to go back. It was great. It was. I also think that both Lena and Issa aren't trying to be. They're not modeling themselves after this old idea of what it means to be a showrunner, what it means to be a creator. They're not modeling themselves after the white men who have done it for the last century. And because of that, they're bringing their own fresh perspectives, which are different. They don't run their sets in the same way, but they're bringing a fresh perspective and their own sort of originality. And it doesn't just change what we see on screen, but it really changes the way the set works. And it was great.
Okay, before I pass the mic around, Christina, first, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Like most people in this room, we're all Insecure fans, and very, very sad that the series is over, but it was so inspiring to see people that look like me and to kind of tell the story that as someone in their 30s that has to deal with as well. But
yeah.
I would love to know what it was like to be on set with Issa and Jay and Natasha every day. Just wanted to know what that was like.
It's great. I think that a lot of times people talk about like, oh, we're a set family and we're like, it's like one big family. And yeah, it was like that, but it was kind of more like hanging out in the best workplace ever. It didn't feel, sometimes people say like, oh, it's a family and then they can treat you kind of like how family treats you. And family don't have to be on time and you don't have to pay you right and you don't have to. So what I liked is that it wasn't too family. It was, it was they had been doing it, so by the time I got there, they were in their third season, and there was a sort of an effortless respect and love between them, but also professionalism that made it so that we could get work done. And so there was a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, but a lot of long, long days. And so you can't be laughing and having fun all day. But if you have to be somewhere until 4 a.m. or at 4 a.m. for a call time, it's nice to be with people who you know are going to bring a standard of professionalism and fun. And so, yeah, it was the best. And Jay Ellis, who I spent most of my time with, also has a Stockton connection and has spent a lot of time here. And so we had like family friends, and we were both parents, and he's just a wonderful human. And so to spend so much time with him was just something I will cherish.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I'll be over there. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll bring you the mic.
Hi, how are you? My name is Melissa Muganzo Murphy, and my pronouns are she, they, and sis. And I'm super excited to be here. I already follow you on Instagram, so I feel like we're already colleagues, so thank you.
Absolutely. We are best friends.
I have 2 questions for you. So I've been a freelance artist my entire life, but I did this 10-year stint as an educator, really centering DEI work. And so now that I'm in entertainment full-time, it is extremely hard to remove that DEI lens when I go into acting classes or entertainment spaces, and I want to call it out. I'm like, ooh, that's hella anti-black, or that's hella homophobic, or that's xenophobic. Do you find yourself feeling like you have to speak up even though you're auditioning in spaces and you don't really have as much say-so? And then the second question is, how did you go about finding an agent that centered your blackness and your womanhood and was not afraid to promote that in your future opportunities?
Okay, so the first question, I think there's 2 things. So it depends. Are you talking about the things that are, because, okay, it's an industry that's going to have a lot of problematic stuff. And then the content sometimes can be problematic. The actual script, the actual play you're working on, and for me, I've learned to sort of not turn off my brain. There's some things that I just am not interested in because I find it too problematic, or the breakdown for it doesn't make any sense. Why are you talking about what the person looks like and their body type and their this and their attitude and pass? But the things that I think I don't want you to lose your lens on and lose your perspective about is when you see the industry and the people, the actual people who are the engines of that industry, doing problematic stuff. And call it out. Don't not. I think it's different when it's the script. When it's a 100-year-old script, yes, it's going to be homophobic. It's going to be misogynistic. It's going to be all sorts of things that you can choose to take or not take. But when you see that the casting director has written a breakdown that is completely terrible, say something. And when you see that someone is being treated in a way that's not, don't lose that. So I hope that you don't. I have handled it by not losing it and choosing to keep engaging, even if it puts me at risk. Have an extra job you really like so you can pay your bills, and then keep saying no. Yeah. I don't know that I found an agent that really centered my Black femininity. I think that you find an agent, and then I had the same agent until recently for 10 years. And so I think in the beginning, we got to know each other, and every year she learned more about the things I was interested in, the things I was not interested in, the things I'm gonna definitely pass on, and the things I'm gonna say yes to, the things, how I'm not gonna play a woman where it's written just, and she had an attitude, no thanks. Or I'm not gonna play a woman who's always just where her life doesn't matter. We don't know anything about her life, and we don't see, and all we just see is a woman in her workplace. There's just things that I said no to. And so she got to know me and saw the ways in which I centered my Black femininity, and as she got to know that and saw what I passed on, she started to center it. But I don't think that you're gonna jump out the gate and find an agent who understands everything about you right off the bat. And it should be a relationship that you're able to nurture and build and get to know each other, and have a conversation every step of the way.
Oh, I had a question too. Hi. So I'm curious. I feel like with a lot of popular TV shows, the person that kind of serves as the villain, or in this case kind of serves in to stir some things up, they usually get some very interesting social media responses.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And I know you say you don't frequent social media too often, but do you have like a funny story about like some people's animosity towards Condola as a character? Or did you get like
What are you talking about? Everyone loves Condola. I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, did you get like any, some very strange people who thought you were Condola and started asking questions or attacking you as if you were that character and not a separate person?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Do you have a funny story of it?
So yeah, I mean, you saw, if you were on the internet, you saw too. I saw most of it. This year I chose not to tweet. I literally did not ever live tweet with the cast or open Twitter, just because I realized it wasn't good for my mental health. And I was like, because season 4 I did engage, and I was like, oh my God, what? I also think it was really hard when I was pregnant, right after the world found out that Condola was pregnant. And listen, we shot the scene where Condola tells Lawrence that she's pregnant in December of 2019. I was not pregnant until May of 2020. But because the episodes came out, people started saying like, oh, the only reason Condola's pregnant is Christina's pregnant in real life. We coming for that baby. I'm like, which baby are you talking about? Don't come for my baby. So it was wild. But for the most part, most of the things were funny memes that I laugh at too. And like, I loved all the names for Condola. Condolences is a classic. Credenza is another favorite. But no, so it was mostly fun. And yeah, the internet is strange. There are people who aren't able to know that it's TV. Yeah, who don't know that it's TV. And thankfully, no one ran up on me like they said they would. I'm still alive to tell the tale. So is my baby.
Bless you.
I'd like to wish you continued success on your career. What I've gathered from this symposium is that you're very versatile in the roles that you accept, that you win. And I'd like for you to share with the younger aspiring actors and actresses here, is it important for them to be versatile in the type of different genres? You mentioned comedy, plays, dramatic, suspense, is it important for them to be versatile in accepting different types of or roles, or should they focus into one type of area of acting?
Oh, I think that's such an individual choice. So I think that for me, I am an actor who wants to do it all and who trained to do it all and who I want to sharpen the tools I have in my toolbox and keep using them. I think that the industry itself will sort of lead you to your type and lead you to the, especially as it relates to film and TV. I think in theater, I hope people continue to do all kinds of transformative roles. And I wish that for all of us in TV and film if that were possible, but it's not, and I've become okay with that I'm gonna play a certain type. But because I think I have the personal desire to do it all, that's helped me to do more of different types of roles. But I think if you are an actor who's like, no, I always wanna be this X, Y, and Z, or I only wanna do comedy, also fine. Know that it will probably limit you in some ways. But if you, like I said, you have the full life that you don't need this for, great. But I think it's, yeah, super personal. I think I'm inspired by so many actors. I think of like J.K. Simmons, or I think of Laura Dern, and I think of Felicia Rashad, who've been able to play all kinds of characters, and that's the kind of career I want for myself. But then I also think of people like Kevin Hart, who plays the same thing over and over, and it's funny, and it's, yeah, and it's himself, and he's been very successful at it, and so that's also great. So I think it's really about what you want and knowing that the industry will type you and limit you, so why limit yourself? But if you want really something really specific, go for it. You know, who am I to tell you what to do? But thank you.
Hello, Christina, Carolyn Vilman.
Hello,
How are you?
it's so good to see
Good
you.
to see you. Following up on the question the young lady asked with respect to DEI, in the last year we've seen couple of years we've seen the uproar with the Oscars and how, you know, Oscars so white, and they've taken this pledge that we're going to, you know, movies have to have 1/3% behind the scenes and all that for more diversity. Are you, from the inside, seeing any of that beginning to transpire? Are you feeling it, or is it just window dressing that we're hearing about to paint a different picture on the Oscars?
Yeah, I think both. I think the extent to what, I think they're always going to advertise doing more than they are. But at the same time, I do think there is a shift that's happening, or at least I hope that's happening. There are more initiatives that I think are sort of moving the needle. I think that it's just going to take a lot longer than any of us wish it were. I think you can hire, you know, Black and brown and Asian and Latino and all kinds of crew members all day long, but if you're also not changing the gatekeepers and the decision makers, and if studio heads aren't changing, and if network heads aren't changing, and if VPs aren't changing, I mean, great, who cares? Because shows aren't gonna greenlight themselves. And so I hope that that's truly where I want to see the shift, so that then it can trickle down. So yeah, I hope we see more Black camera operators, but I really, really hope we see more Black studio heads, and we see more Asian studio heads, and more Indigenous studio heads, and more everybody. So I think it's slow, but I'm hoping that it's slow but sure. But I will say the Academy is doing a lot better. And I mean, I don't know about how the Oscars turned out this year, but in terms of people who are voting, so I think they're taking it seriously.
Those hashtags are powerful.
All right, Coach Perry, I'm coming.
Thank you for coming. This is a real treat for us. My family are huge Insecure fans, and my wife and I feel like Issa and Molly are our daughters that we raised. That's how our everyday lives are, and we didn't know about the show until our girls kept calling saying, "Mom, Dad, you gotta watch this show. It's me and Keisha. You gotta watch it." So we started watching it, and I wanted to say that the scenes that you had with Issa, after announcing the pregnancy, I thought were incredible in the moments of stillness that between the two characters in the kitchen, in those different moments, there wasn't a lot of dialogue back and forth, and I thought it was incredible how much information we could gather from both sides, from Issa and from you, and how you felt and what you were thinking and what she was thinking and how she felt. I just thought the synergy between the two characters was amazing, and we really enjoyed that. My question to you is this. At what point did you know or did you feel that the show was bubbling as big as it was? Because you're filming ahead of us, and then you're getting the reaction from the public that the show is really catching on and really hot, and a lot of people are talking about it. At what point did you know, or did you know when you got the call to be on the show, were you thinking like, wow, this has got a chance to be really, really big, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think because I didn't join the show, and also thank you so much for saying that. I really loved being able to work with Issa as a writer, creator, producer, my boss, but also as an actor. I think she's really good, and so doing scenes with her was always fun. But I think I joined the show when it was already becoming a big hit, so I knew, and I had been a huge fan of her web series that the show's based on, Awkward Black Girl. I'd watched every episode from the time it had come out, so joining the show was a dream for me. And it was a dream because it was already a show that I loved, and it was a hit, but I think you're right, it did become a bigger hit later. But I was just happy to be there because for me it was a huge hit, and it was the first time that I was seeing my friends and my people that I know right now on the show. Like you said, it felt like your daughters, it felt like my friends. And for the show to take place in my neighborhood, it was the easiest commute I ever had on a job. The night that I booked the job, I had to be at work the next morning at 5 a.m. And the upside to that was that it was 5 minutes from my house. So to see my neighborhood and places that I grew up going to and that I go to now and highlighted, and that South LA looked so beautiful on that show, and that the people of South LA were made to look so beautiful like they are, and that they showed its vibrant diversity and eccentricity, and that was not all one thing, was just a delight. So it was already a huge hit for me, and I think that because of the way the story was told so authentically and beautifully, it just grew and grew, became a bigger hit. So I sort of knew as I was on it. Thank you. Hi, LD.
So you have pursued quite well your acting career, and you've done it very well. But to the gentleman's point over here about versatility, I also know you dance and you sing. And have you thought about incorporating both of those other talents into your future jobs?
I have thought about incorporating them. I do not have, I don't have nerves when I act. Like I can sometimes be excited about a job or like, anxious about the people I'll meet, but like whether we were doing a play and at a table read, I'm excited to be there, and my nerves are gone. And when people say action, I don't have nerves, I'm excited to do it. When I have to sing or dance, I get a nervous voice, it starts to shake. I don't know if I can follow the choreography. So yes, I have thought about it, but I have so much more anxiety and nerves when it comes to those two things that, we'll just have to see what God does.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm a student musician, and earlier when you were saying that you're an outgoing introvert, I related so hard.
You're
and I was
one of
just,
us.
and I was just wondering, one, how do you push through that shyness and anxiety in order to make the connections that you need? And two, how do you keep your authenticity in predominantly white spaces? Because you're already uncomfortable, but then putting yourself being an introvert, like, also on top of that? It's like, just how do you navigate that?
Yeah, you know, it's a very individual thing, and so I've developed over my whole life, like, the tricks I need. I give myself a lot of time alone. It's harder with the 2 little kids, so I sometimes count alone time just sitting in the bathroom. But I give myself a lot of time alone, and then I think sort of at the same time I realized that networking up doesn't work. I stopped thinking that I had to be at everything, go to everything, talk to everyone, say hi to everyone. And that, yes, it's possible that maybe I'm missing out on some things as a result of not being that kind of person. But the people that I do connect with get to know me more authentically and get to know me as the full person I am. And so I have one of my best friends is also an actor. Her name is Ashley Blaine Featherson. And she is a connector. She effortlessly she would walk in here and 17 of y'all would leave and be like, oh my God, we're best friends. And it would be true. And she would call you, and then she would keep up with you, and then she would check in about your niece and your nephew, and like she knows things about you. And I will go to the same party and meet no one and leave and be like, that was the worst time of my life. And she'd be like, what are you talking about? Oh my God, it was the best. And for her, it feels good. And she is, she's recharged by being around other people and connecting with other people. And that's great for her. And so I think she should go to those things and do those things. And I should not. And you should not if you don't want to. And so I do think, yes, there are some things we need to do for work. And I think whatever you do to put on your game face to be here, and whatever you do to put on your game face when you go to class, and you keep those same tricks and tools, but you don't have to be someone that you're not. You don't have to turn on any sparkly version of yourself if that's not the one you have today. Always be gracious, always be kind, but be authentically you. And I think that if everyone were extroverts, it would be really boring. So don't stop being an outgoing introvert.
She's getting her steps today.
I sure am.
Hello, I have a question for you. You talked about seeing more Black studio heads, and so I was just wondering, what do you think it's going to take to get there?
Yeah, I don't know what it will take to get more Black studio heads. I think ultimately, and I think it'll take things like the racial reckoning of 2020. I think that we've already seen more Black studio heads. I think it'll take us all deciding that we're done being fed up and that we are not going to consume things from networks that choose not to invest in DEI. We're not going to consume things from production companies that don't make content that reflects all of us. So I don't know. I think it's going to take more of the same energy that we've had for the last 2 years. We're going to have to keep that same energy. And then ultimately, it'll come down to it being profitable for networks and studios. And so I think some will change faster as those profit margins begin to reflect people who are interested in seeing those changes, and some will change slower if they can keep making the money that they're making without it. So I think we hope and we pray and we choose what we consume wisely.
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, how did you transition to do 20? Because it's a little different, and you do an amazing job with
Thank
transitioning,
you.
but I want to know, how did you prepare for it?
Yeah.
Because it was so interesting to just kind of see, like, your talk, you shorten your words. Like, I noticed all of that, because that's how they talk now, this generation. And I was like, how is she doing that so well? So I want to know how you prepare for that.
I mean, I am a ways away from my 20s, but not too far away from my 20s. But no, it's been interesting playing Condola and Marie, who are a decade apart, because this year, especially this past year, I played them very close together. So like, it was a day between the two thing. So I ended Insecure on like April 26th and started April 27th. But I think it's in the writing. I think the characters are written so differently. They inhabit different worlds. And while they're kind of similar, they just feel, to me, they feel very different. And so I approach them differently. And I think mostly it's the writing. They've been written pretty well and with authenticity. And so my job is made a little easier. I also think that once I'm in my 20s world, I let go of my Insecure world and I let go of whatever else I'm working on world. I feel totally Marie. I think that comes from the other actors. I think that comes from our sets and our production design and just being in that world. It's like I sort of enter a new zone. But it's fun to be back in my 20s and pretend.
Hey, Tina.
Hi. How you doing, Natasha?
I'm good. So good to see you. I just wanted to say that seeing your trajectory, even from singing in the choir at Faith Fellowship together, to seeing how you are now, it's just been so beautiful. I just feel myself in awe just watching how you've grown. And I knew from the girl that was sitting next to me in the choir stand from now, I was like, it was totally fated that you'd be where you are now. But I did want to ask you, is there anything that you have in the works now? What can we look forward to?
Well, so the way that my contract works, but thank you, Natasha. That was really beautiful and meaningful to me. I appreciate you saying that. The way that my contract works for 20s, I was not able to audition for or do anything else until it ended, and that was February 15th. So now, if you know somebody looking to hire me, call me. I don't know what's next. I'm excited about what's next, but I have no idea. And there's nothing in the works except for my babies and auditioning and seeing what God has next.
That's the wonderful world of acting. When there's another actress who did a TikTok, and it says, when people ask you, what do you have coming up? I don't know.
I don't know.
Really don't know. It literally is day by day. So.
Yeah, and contract by contract and audition by audition, and yeah, so I don't know. I just got a new agent today, though, and I'm excited about her. Thanks.
So, yes, right here. I just wanted to ask, so you do a lot of on-stage and on-camera work, but I know you were a PA on Shark Week, so do you think you'll ever get back behind the scenes in production or direction or writing or anything like that?
That is a deep cut. In 2007. So yes, I this year have been shadowing directors, and I'm very interested in episodic directing, and hope that that's a part of what's next for me. I'm really excited about crafting the story from that side of the lens, and let's see here what happens. But yes, I definitely am interested in directing.
Any other questions? Oh, okay.
Oh, there's somebody standing up? Yes.
Oh, Jewel.
So what I've gathered is you've had a lot of success as an actor and as a Black woman. What would you tell yourself? What would you tell a younger version of yourself, like some advice you would want to know as you were leaving grad school? Something you wish you knew before you started your career, before the success and the rejection and the kids and the TV shows, all of that.
Ooh, I would tell myself to be open to it not looking the way you plan it to look. And I think that I was protecting myself so much after grad school that I had a lot of negative self-talk. And so rather than saying, I didn't have to curb my dreams, because I was I was curbing them myself. No one ever had to tell me, you're never gonna make it, because I was telling myself that. So, you know, people get up and they say, and to all the people who told me I would never, it would just be me. Yeah, I'm all the people. So I would tell myself, to not only be open to it going differently than you think, but to let yourself be surprised by the wonderful things that can come. I think that anyone who's entering this industry knows how cutthroat and how much rejection and how terrible and how you don't know when your next job is coming, and you don't know if you're gonna have health insurance, and you don't know if you're gonna pay your bills, and we all know that part. So I would tell my younger self and younger actors that what if it is amazing? What if you get to work on things you never dreamed possible? What if you get to build a life for yourself that you love? What if you trust that God has a plan for you that you know nothing about, and that's okay? And then what if you do the work and you keep every day getting up and networking with your peers, and every day you get up and you journal some ideas, and every day you get up and do the thing you love, even though no one's paying you to do it, because you love it. And every day you go to that crappy job that you kind of like, but maybe you're getting a new one because you want to have a survival job that you love, and you do it, and you pay your bills, and you meet your friends, and you have fun, and you keep auditioning, and you try to get the agent, and you go to the showcase, and you do all those things, and you print the headshots, but you build a life you love, and you have fun, and maybe you're a star, and you're like Brad Pitt, or maybe you're not, and you're a working actor who gets to do this thing, and it's amazing, but you're not famous, and that's great. Or maybe you only end up doing readings with your friends, but do you love it? Do you like it? Is your life full? But yeah, I would say stop the negative self-talk and think about all the ways it could be wonderful.
Celebrating the small victories.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's like, yeah, but I'm trying to be up here.
Yeah.
Here, but everything is a stepping stone to get there, and celebrating the small wins.
I buy myself frozen yogurt after auditions. I do all kind of things to celebrate my little wins.
I think that was a wonderful set of advice that you gave right there, and I'm going to ask you to give a little bit more because I have been in the education system for 20 years, and I know that the arts is not something that is promoted, and I know there are a myriad of positions in production and editing and film and all of the spaces that you see that are not the actor or actress, right? It's like going to be an NFL professional. Only some people get through that window, but there are so many costume design and hair, and I was wondering if you have any advice for, you know, younger people or not, people who are changing their careers, on how to kind of move in that direction, or even how to get it more recognized. I mean, there's just, we don't see it, so it's like they don't know it's there. Like you can be an athlete, or you can be the physical therapist for the athlete and make a lot of money, you know? So it kind of along those lines, if you had any advice with regards to that.
Yeah, I don't know that I have specific advice, but I do think that what you're saying is super important, that it takes 200 people in terms of a set on production and in the office and in the accounting and to make one show possible. And so those are 200 jobs you could have if you wanted them. And I think you're right that because it's not who you end up seeing on your screen, we can forget about the force and magnitude of all the people who had to work to get it there, and how there's so many interesting, amazing jobs. I think, like acting, so many of those jobs are hard to get, and they're hard to know about, and they involve unions and figuring out who's who and knowing who to shadow and who to apprentice with. But I think it's worth the investigation, especially if you don't know, you know that you're interested in entertainment, but you don't know exactly where. I think going on IMDb or getting an IMDb Pro account and looking at all the people who have all the different jobs and who's on the crew list of things, and figuring out which of those jobs sounds interesting to you.
Well, that was the last question. Let's give another round of applause for Christina. What you see is what you get with her. She's such a sweet spirit, so kind, funny. She is that every day around the way girl. We just love you. So thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for all the questions, and for all my family and friends who came. Thank you.
Yes, so I do believe there is going to be a meet and greet, so you can actually head back. Okay. Let's give her another round of applause, you guys. And thank you all for participating in your questions tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Alicia.
Thank you. Okay, well, this concludes our program. I would like to thank everyone in the Black History Month Committee for their hard work on this month's events. We dedicate all of our efforts this year in memory of the late Ricky T. Boylan, a longtime committee member and alum volunteer who passed away suddenly in 2019. Ricky graduated from Pacific in 1979 with a degree in business. While he was here as a student and after he graduated, he remained active, volunteering in the community and with his fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc. The Pacific Alumni Association's Black Alumni Club, and many other charitable causes. Black History Month would not be the outstanding celebration it is today without his dedication and advocacy. Let us acknowledge him with a round of applause. Okay, this is what you guys wait though. For those who are interested in participating in our very brief meet and greet portion of our program with Christina Elmore, please listen carefully to the following instructions. She will take one photo per group, or if you're an individual, of course, she'll take a picture with you by yourself. So she will only be taking pictures and signing autographs as her schedule permits. So please cooperate with the instructions given by the staff members. Thank you in advance